Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to Volkswagen. A warm welcome to an afternoon dedicated to the future, not only of mobility. We are living in extraordinary times, at challenging times for our industry in particular. Individual mobility is experiencing massive change at an ever-increasing pace. Artificial intelligence and the extreme growth of information are moving us car guys. Autonomous driving and new mobility concepts will change the way people will move in the future. Today, we are going to meet a few of the most extraordinary people from the Californian innovative community. They will share with us their vision of the ever-approaching future. A future that holds major challenges as well as offering spectacular opportunities. As one of the biggest companies in our sector, we are really not counting as a startup, but with plenty of energy and innovation spirit, we are on a well thought through road into this future, a future that is digital, electric, and connected. And you will hear and see a lot about that today too. But first, I would like to invite on stage for the first remarks Henrik Webken, the CEO of Volkswagen North America.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us here in Los Angeles. LA has long been a window into America's future, and today we want to share more details about Volkswagen's vision for the future of electric mobility. I'd also like to welcome my colleagues from Germany, including Jürgen Stackmann, the head of sales and marketing for Volkswagen passenger cars worldwide. Jürgen came with a big team over here yesterday, and he is scheduled actually to travel back home tonight. And he said, actually, I would like to stay in the warm. It's so rainy and cold in Wolfsburg. But unfortunately, you have to leave paradise tonight again, Jürgen, right? Yeah, before we move to the future of Volkswagen, I want to tell you a bit about our present business here in America. Simply put, 2017 has represented the beginning of a comeback for Volkswagen in the United States. Last year, we set out on a journey to expand our presence in America. Volkswagen has always been known for its small car, and we knew that in order to grow, we needed to reach the heart of the American market and offer a fresh lineup of SUVs and family-oriented models. This summer, we launched the Atlas. Built in Chattanooga and tailored to meet US demands, from its design and technology to its unique for America name, the Atlas comes with a competitive price and the best warranty in its class. Quickly following the Atlas, the all-new 2018 Tiguan joined the lineup. Built on the MQB platform to provide the size and versatility customers have been asking for, the Tiguan was quickly recognized as a leader in its class. We are really starting to see the efforts of our work reflected in our sales. As of the end of October, we are outpacing the industry in growth for 2017. We have seen year-to-date growth of 9.4% when the industry is down overall. 2017 has been an exciting year of new products. Put to be clear, it is just the beginning. We are rolling out updates across our model year 2018 lineup, including new for fuel-efficient engines and the Passat and the Beetle and the refresh of the Golf family. The 2018 lineup also arrives with a people-first warranty, a 6-year, 72,000-mile, bumper-to-bumper, fully transferable warranty that tops the total competition. Times are changing for Volkswagen in America, and I couldn't be more proud to be part of this shift. With the newly formed North American region, we are responsible for all business units, including development, engineering, purchasing, production, sales and marketing across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. We have restructured the business to bring decision-making and leadership closer to our dealer partners and, of course, to our customers. Consistently bringing fresh products to market is important here in the States. This year, Volkswagen delivered 2 all-new SUVs, and we are going to continue the drumbeat of new products into 2018. In just a few weeks in Detroit, we will unveil the all-new 2019 Jetta. The volume leader for the brand, the Jetta, is all new from ground up. The car features sleek, coupe-like lines and a bold new face, along with great technology. And we reserve, of course, quite a lot of excitement with features and technology inside. Closely following will be the stylish new 2019 Arteon. This successor to the CC is a premium sedan which combines inspiring 4-door coupe style with ample interior space. The momentum won't stop there. We are planning to bring every year 2 new complete cars into the market so that we have a cadence which is exciting our dealers and our customers to come to the showrooms. Our goal is to become a full-line volume maker. We want to gain market share and shift from a niche player to a truly relevant brand in this country. And we will do so while maintaining the emotional connection with our customers that made us the people's car. With our new models and new warranty, we are on the right course. Now to talk about the future of mobility and where Volkswagen is going with electric mobility, I'd like to turn it back to Pike. Thank you very much for listening.
Henrik, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I promised you an interesting afternoon with some extraordinary people. Peter Diamandis is one of them, and he actually needs no introduction from me. Peter is one of Silicon Valley's highest profile individuals, has founded more than 15 companies, is co-founder of the Singularity University, and has already initiated some great technological advantages with the X Prize. Peter says people have no idea how fast this world is changing, which is why he is going to talk to us today about disruption. With us today is also Jeff Rosenthal, founder of the Summit Series. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get started with this part of our session. Please welcome Peter Diamandis.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you to Volkswagen for having me. If we could bring the presentation up when we can, that would be great. It's true, we're living during the most extraordinary time ever in human history. And I truly believe that people don't have an idea how fast things are changing. I believe we're going to make more progress in the next decade than we have in the past previous century. So I'm going to talk about 3 subjects. The first is the incredible importance of agility for any company during this time of extraordinary disruption and change. The second is the electric future we're heading towards, and the third is the autonomous future we're heading towards, and the drivers behind that, and why, hopefully, you have no doubt that these things are coming. Here's the first challenge. Our brains, the way that we think, the 100 billion neurons in our brains, the 100 trillion synaptic connections in our mind, evolved on the savannas of Africa hundreds of thousands and millions of years ago. Back then, when our brain was evolving, the world was very local and very linear. Nothing affected you that was not within the day's walk, and things didn't change century to century or millennium to millennium. They changed not at all. Today, the world is anything but that. Today, the world is global and exponential. Something happens in China or India, on the other side of the planet, you know about it seconds later. Your computers know about it microseconds later. Things are not changing decade to decade or even year to year. In many cases, they're changing now month to month. And if I were to graph that, it looks like this, right? This red line is all of us. It's our politicians, it's our children, it's our board members, it's our customers. We have not had a hardware or software upgrade in 2 million years. But this yellow line is the technology that we're using, that we're creating, that we're here talking about today. It's computers, sensors, networks, AI, robotics, 3D printing, synthetic biology, augmented, virtual reality, blockchain. These technologies are doubling on 12 to 24-month centers, and they're not slowing down. And the difference between these two is either disruptive stress, if you're the company that misses out on this exponential growth, or it's disruptive opportunity if you pounce on it. So I've had the pleasure of writing 2 books I'm very proud of. The second one was called Bold, How to Go Big, Create Wealth, and Impact the World. And I opened the book with the story of Kodak. And I think the Kodak story is very fitting even in the automotive industry. So the year is 1996. Kodak is at the top of its game. It had a brand like you could not buy around the world. Market cap of $28 billion, 140,000 employees. What most people don't know is that 20 years earlier, inside the labs at Kodak, a guy named Steven Sasson had come up with the digital camera. And as Steven brings this into the boardroom of Kodak, he goes, here it is, the future of Kodak. It takes 0.01 megapixel images in black and white on a tape drive. And the Kodak board says, you're kidding me, it's a toy for kids. We're Kodak. We make beautiful high-resolution images. Besides, we're in the paper and chemicals business. And they forgot what business they were truly in. George Eastman, who was the founder of Kodak, created Kodak to help preserve people's memories, not to sell paper and chemicals. And so literally, that technology, what they invented, they had the first mover advantage, they had the patents to, ultimately drives them into bankruptcy in 2012. In the same year, another company, also in the digital imagery business, a company that you know well called Instagram, gets acquired by Facebook for $1 billion. But they've got 13 employees. And I've given this moment in time when a linear thinking company gets displaced by exponential technologies a name. I call it the new Kodak moment. You can groan at that if you like. But we're going to be seeing these new Kodak moments more and more, where companies that are not agile, that are not jumping a generation or two ahead, are going to be left in the dust. And so this is what it looks like when a linear technology falls off a cliff. Here's film photography in the orange or yellow and digital photography exploding. And of course, this is 2011. In 2016 is 1.2 trillion photographs, right? And you literally see an old style technology fall off a cliff. Let's look at another example of a Kodak moment here. This is Netflix versus Blockbuster. In red here is Blockbuster. And you can see how it starts to literally fall off its cliff as Netflix begins to take off, as Reed Hastings rides on top of an exponential growth curve. But this is half the story. Look what happens next. We go from 2 billion to 70 billion in 7 years. This explosion onto the scene when you can ride on top of these exponential technologies. But look at this. Look at this year of late 2008 and the relative position of Netflix and Blockbuster. And look at this quote that comes out from the media. This is from Jim Keyes, the CEO of Blockbuster. He goes, neither Redbox nor Netflix are even on the radar screen in terms of competition. How much wrong could you be? And this is the difficulty when a company refuses to change and believes that it doesn't need to change. From Richard Foster at Yale, he says, if you started a company in the 1920s and you got onto the stock exchange, your average run rate was 67 years, right? Things were moving slow enough that you didn't have to change. Today, you start a company, you're on the S&P 500 for 15 years. You're MySpace displaced by Facebook, displaced by Snapchat, or whatever's next. The point here is that the rate of disruption is increasing as the amount of technology in the hands of more and more entrepreneurs is also increasing. If you're not disrupting yourself, someone else will. Let's look at this. This is what it looked like back in 2006. And you guys all recognize all of these companies: Sears, JCPenney's, Kohl's, Macy's, Best Buy, Target, Walmart, and Amazon down here at 17 billion. Now, if I'd gone to these companies and say, listen, in 10 years' time, this is going to happen, none of them would have believed me. Right? This is how fast the world can change, unless you're agile. This is the wake-up story of the exponential times that we're living in today. We're also going from I've got an idea to I run a billion-dollar company faster than ever before. My friend Chad Hurley starts YouTube on his credit cards and sells it to Google for $1.6 billion 18 months later. There's no way to explain to Avis Rent-A-Car, the taxi fleets, that 5 guys are going to start Uber or Lyft and be worth tens of billions of dollars and never buy any cars. It's different business models coming into existence. So I teach this at Exponentials at Singularity University. And what does exponential even mean? So I have 2 6-year-old boys. They're in the perfect linear part of their lives, right? In 30 linear steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm in the back of the room, 30 meters away. And that's linear thinking. And that's the way that our brains are wired. We take the past and we project it in the future, and we don't know how not to do that. That's what we do inherently. But we're living in a time where it's not linear thinking, it's exponentials, at least in the technology world, where I'm taking 30 exponential steps, where an exponential is a simple doubling. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. In 30 doublings, I'm not in the back of the room. In 30 doublings, I'm a billion meters away. Put differently, I've gone around the planet 26 times. And the difference between that linear thinking in the back of the room or circumnavigating Earth 26 times is what drove Kodak out of business. So you might have all know Moore's Law. This is Gordon Moore, one of the founders of Intel, who in 1958 got together with his co-founders to put transistors on silicon. 7 years later, in 1965, he publishes a very famous paper. He goes, we've noticed something at Intel. The number of transistors on a piece of silicon is roughly doubled every 12 to 24 months. And then he said, and it's likely to continue. And it has continued for 50 years. And I want to give you a visualization of what this looks like. This is the first integrated circuit. It's a 1/2 inch or 2 centimeter by 2 centimeter transistors. Fast forward to their first commercial product. This is the Intel 4004. Can you just forward the slide for me, please? Okay, a little bit much. I have a good old saying at Singularity University that AI is easy, AV is hard. I'll leave it there. This is their first commercial product, the Intel 4004. It's 2,300 transistors, about $1 each. And if you fast forward one more time, let me try this again. I don't know if AV can switch this out for me if the battery's low. No. We see their Core i7 microprocessor that's got 14.4 billion transistors, less than a millionth of a penny each. It's a 330 billion-fold price performance increase over 45 years. This is the world we're living in today, where something can be 330 billion times better. Let me give you another visualization of what this looks like. In 1956, this was a 5 megabyte hard drive for $120,000, and if you happen to have your cargo airplane, you could move it from location to location. This in 2005 is 128 megabytes, 25 times more memory, or 1,000th the price. Right? Now fast forward to 2014. Here we see right on schedule on Moore's Law, right? 1,000 times more memory for the same price. Right on schedule. Double something 10 times, it's 1,000 times better. 20 times, it's 1,000,000 times. 30 times, it's 1,000,000,000 times better. It doesn't stop here, of course, right? It continues on. And this is a 1 terabyte hard drive now. So if you look and you drive this, what we're seeing is massive computational power over 110 years This is on on a log scale, which tells us that it should be straight, but the rate at which computers are getting faster is itself getting faster. And it's likely to continue. And when it does, what you see is the following. In 2023, just a few years from now, $1,000 now buys you the computational power of the human brain, 10 to the 16 cycles per second. 25 years later, it buys you the computational power of the entire human race. Right? Now your kid's homework gets really easy. My point is the following. Cheaper, faster computers in the hands of everybody, near infinite computing, is driving sensors, networks, AI, robotics, 3D printing, synthetic biology, blockchain, all of these technologies, and is transforming the world. And I don't think any of us truly understand how fast the world is changing. Because you can be, knowledgeable about any one of these, but it's the combination of 3 or 4 of these as blockchain and VR and AI come together and create new business models that we've never thought of before that really disrupts our business models in the world. And as I'm in the boardroom of many of the Fortune 500 companies, I'm saying you've got to be looking at how do you disrupt yourself? Because I guarantee you, thousands of entrepreneurs out there are looking to eat your lunch otherwise. So I want to talk about the last 2 subjects, which is the energy economy we're heading towards. I don't think there's any question that we're heading towards an all-electric economy. The numbers are pretty telling, right? In 2016, 30-plus countries around the world, wind and solar was cheaper than fossil fuel. In 2016, the number was 25% of the world's power was coming from renewables. The number will be significantly higher this year. Coal is dead. Hopefully the White House will eventually figure this out. And petroleum is not far behind. A number of countries, from Scotland, as an example, to Costa Rica, to many other countries, are now getting 100% of their energy needs from renewables. We also have countries like the Netherlands and China and other parts of Europe who are basically saying no more internal combustion cars, that we're moving towards a requirement for all electric. And the realization is that we're heading towards a world in which we can now begin to turn the energy that hits the sun. We have 8,000 times more energy hitting the surface of the Earth and the sun than we consume as a species in a year. What we're seeing is this massive exponential growth in production and this exponential decrease in the cost. We've seen in Dubai this year alone 2.1 cents per kilowatt hour, a third that of natural gas and petroleum here in the United States. Do we have the energy storage ability? You betcha. We're heading towards an extraordinary investment this year, orders of magnitude higher than we've had in just the past decade. And we're exceeding the optimists by a factor of 2 in terms of energy density and energy price storage costs. All right, let's talk about autonomy. It was about 10 years ago that Sebastian Thrun and his team from Stanford won the DARPA Grand Challenge in the deserts of Nevada. Larry Page, a huge fan of that, hired Sebastian to come into Google and build their autonomous car program. And they had a fleet of autonomous Priuses. Audi did some amazing work in this area as well. But the question is, how fast will autonomous cars impact your lives? And I took a second to look at a historic analog, and it looks like this. This, in 1904, is the streets of New York. And if you look carefully at this photograph, which I've done, you'll see 2 cars on here. Back then, in 1904, about 10% penetration of automobiles. Now let's fast forward to the year 1917, same street, and we've got 100% penetration. The horse and buggy is gone. When something is 10 times better, cheaper, more capable than your other products, you get rid of it like you lost your film photography and you got rid of your old linear technologies. So the question is, how fast did this transition occur? I showed you film photography, right, where it fell off a cliff. Well, the Ford Model T was the first mass production car, and it came online in 1908. And by 1912, there were more cars than horse and buggies. 4 years later, disruption. So the question is, how fast will we start having autonomous cars hitting the road? My friends at Uber, Jeff Holden, who runs their autonomous car program, predicts that the cost of an autonomous car, an autonomous electric car in specific, will be 5 to 10 times cheaper than owning a car. And if something is that cheap, you park, you part, and you literally change what you do. My 6-year-old boys will never drive a car. They'll get into an autonomous electric car, and that will take them around. So here's the numbers to close out the implications. So the US commute is a 52-minute per day average commute time. That equates to about 30 billion wasted hours per year. And at the average salary of $42 per hour, that's about $1.2 trillion of wasted capabilities. So that's one thing that's going to be given back to people, is hours of their day. Add to that, a reduction in the cost of auto insurance because these cars don't crash. Add to that the fact that you don't need parking lots anymore. You don't need parking garage. You don't need driveways. I can turn my spare parking garage into a bedroom now. And then, city revenues, if cars don't need parking, they don't have parking tickets, they don't have speeding tickets, that's going to be a hit for city revenues that no one's talking about. And then finally, the 1.25 million deaths per year that get saved as we head towards autonomous cars. So if you'd like those slides, if you just go to that website, you can download those slides and share them with your readers. I mean, an honor and a pleasure, just a little view at how fast things are changing. Thank you.
Peter, thank you very much. Thank you for giving us an idea of the new dimensions lying ahead of us. Ladies and gentlemen, the enormous development of technology is creating the basis for change. But people too are changing their expectations and behaviors. Jeff Rosenthal is going to talk to us about the digital age from a very different perspective, from the perspective of the consumer, of the customer. Jeff is someone who applies exceptional talent to bring together people, ideas, and experiences. When he found the Summit series, he thought it would be a cool idea to convene with other millennials doing interesting things. Now, Summit is a very global, multi-dimensional company that continues to build a multi-generational community, supports creativity, and addresses global issues. Summit series is leading music, art, content, and community curation programs, as well as architecture, design, and development at Summit Powder Mountain. Jeff, over to you.
Hello, hello.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to Volkswagen. A warm welcome to an afternoon dedicated to the future, not only of mobility. We are living in extraordinary times, at challenging times for our industry in particular. Individual mobility is experiencing massive change at an ever-increasing pace. Artificial intelligence and the extreme growth of information are moving us car guys. Autonomous driving and new mobility concepts will change the way people will move in the future. Today, we are going to meet a few of the most extraordinary people from the Californian innovative community. They will share with us their vision of the ever-approaching future. A future that holds major challenges as well as offering spectacular opportunities. As one of the biggest companies in our sector, we are really not counting as a startup, but with plenty of energy and innovation spirit, we are on a well-thought-through road into this future, a future that is digital, electric, and connected. And you will hear and see a lot about that today too. But first, I would like to invite on stage for the first remarks Henrik Webken, the CEO of Volkswagen North America.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us here in Los Angeles. LA has long been a window into America's future, and today we want to share more details about Volkswagen's vision for the future of electric mobility. I'd also like to welcome my colleagues from Germany, including Jürgen Stackmann, the head of sales and marketing for Volkswagen passenger cars worldwide. Jürgen came with a big team over here yesterday, and he is scheduled actually to travel back home tonight. And he said, actually, I would like to stay in the warm. It's so rainy and cold in Wolfsburg. But unfortunately, you have to leave paradise tonight again, Jürgen, right? Yeah, before we move to the future of Volkswagen, I want to tell you a bit about our present business here in America. Simply put, 2017 has represented the beginning of a comeback for Volkswagen in the United States. Last year, we set out on a journey to expand our presence in America. Volkswagen has always been known for its small car, and we knew that in order to grow, we needed to reach the heart of the American market and offer a fresh lineup of SUVs and family-oriented models. This summer, we launched the Atlas. Built in Chattanooga and tailored to meet US demands, from its design and technology to its unique for America name, the Atlas comes with a competitive price and the best warranty in its class. Quickly following the Atlas, the all-new 2018 Tiguan joined the lineup. Built on the MQB platform to provide the size and versatility customers have been asking for, the Tiguan was quickly recognized as a leader in its class. We are really starting to see the efforts of our work reflected in our sales. As of the end of October, we are outpacing the industry in growth for 2017. We have seen year-to-date growth of 9.4% when the industry is down overall. 2017 has been an exciting year of new products. Put to be clear, it is just the beginning. We are rolling out updates across our model year 2018 lineup, including new for fuel-efficient engines and the Passat and the Beetle and the refresh of the Golf family. The 2018 lineup also arrives with a people-first warranty, a 6-year, 72,000-mile, bumper-to-bumper, fully transferable warranty that tops the total competition. Times are changing for Volkswagen in America, and I couldn't be more proud to be part of this shift. With the newly formed North American region, we are responsible for all business units, including development, engineering, purchasing, production, sales and marketing across United States, Canada, and Mexico. We have restructured the business to bring decision-making and leadership closer to our dealer partners and, of course, to our customers. Consistently bringing fresh products to market is important here in the States. This year, Volkswagen delivered 2 all-new SUVs, and we are going to continue the drumbeat of new products into 2018. In just a few weeks in Detroit, we will unveil the all-new 2019 Jetta. The volume leader for the brand, the Jetta, is all new from ground up. The car features sleek, coupe-like lines and a bold new face, along with great technology. And we reserve, of course, quite a lot of excitement with features and technology inside. Closely following will be the stylish new 2019 Arteon. This successor to the CC is a premium sedan which combines inspiring 4-door coupe style with ample interior space. The momentum won't stop there. We are planning to bring every year 2 new complete cars into the market so that we have a cadence which is exciting our dealers and our customers to come to the showrooms.
The attendees in the community that we service. At Powder Mountain, we bought the largest ski resort in North America. It's 10,000 acres. It is a town called Eden, Utah. There's no streetlights, there's no stoplights. And it is a place that we really do spend a tremendous amount of time. For the last 5.5 years, we've been developing a town on top of that mountain. And it's simply because of the fact that it's so ambitious and it's so seemingly ridiculous that we would try to do it. We have our community with their hands dirty, right? We have an opportunity for you to build a town with us. So instead of saying, hey, here's the final product, you can actually come and you can actually build alongside of us. This is from when we first chartered an ocean liner for a summit event. We were, I think, the first to really do that. This was in 2011. And it's same sort of thing, like make no small plans. The Daniel Burnham quote, they don't have the ability to stir men's hearts, right? You can't excite people about just the things that they've already seen before. And I do want to congratulate Volkswagen on their recent commitment to electric vehicles. The investment that they're making and the scale of that effort can exponentially impact the electric vehicle revolution. And that's exactly the reason why I agreed to be here today. And most importantly, it's just as far as thinking about my generation, the way in which we think about consumption, we're pretty much done buying things for the external identity creation, right? I think that we're at the end of 60 years of a branding and advertising revolution that occurred that really helped give us artificial desires, right? We were convinced that we weren't good enough, we weren't pretty enough, we didn't have enough, and if we can only buy that next thing, then we could signal to all the people around us that we were greater, better, bigger, richer, prettier, and it's all about external identity creation. What I would argue and what I would encourage is that we really do think about giving people the means in which to use their dollars as votes for the world in which they want to see the world, right? Build products and build projects that really do align with the value set of your customer, and that will really help us, build the world that we want to live in. Thank you guys very much.
Good. Thanks a lot.
Hello, everybody. We at Volkswagen have always been about making mobility accessible for everybody. This will be true for e-mobility as well. Our all-new modular electric platform, what we call the MEB, is the next big step into a new world, also fully digitalized mobility. For us, at Volkswagen, this is the greatest technological conversion since the changeover from the Beetle to the Golf. It is key for our future. So it's up to us to make the future real. I'm happy to share our thoughts on this from our side. We are fully committed making e-mobility accessible for everybody. This is in our DNA. We are the people's car company. This is why the ID family is made from people for people. And this means our family is affordable. It's fully connected. It has enough range and it's scalable in range. It is suitable for everyday use. And it's available in the most wanted body styles. A highly scalable platform for all brands of the Volkswagen Group is something what gives us economies of scale from the very first moment. This is a huge differentiator to our competition. So right now, Audi, Skoda, Seat, and for sure Volkswagen is part of the game. The models themselves will have independent functions, features, and design. They will be in the perception of the customer completely different. So the MEB is a big step forward in our strategy to electrification. When you look today in the architecture of an e-Golf, what do you see? It's an enormous complexity, and the architecture is definitely limited in range capability. There is right now no chance to fulfill the North American requirements for range when e-mobility should be in mass market. This is why we decided to develop an all-new architecture for pure electric cars, being able to offer 200 and even up to 300 plus miles of all-electric range. The range and the ability for fast charging in combination with a comprehensive fast charging network, which we'll do with partners, allows the ID family to travel from coast to coast. These are real cars. Crucial for this is the battery. So the architecture of tomorrow is built around the battery. This means the battery is in the most safest place, lowest center of gravity. It will stretch the wheelbase of those cars, what you see here, shorten the overhangs. You'll get a little more tire diameter for these cars, and in the interior, you're totally flat. There's no tunnel anymore. And because of weight distribution, when the battery is the heaviest part of the car, you'll end up with long-range electric cars, 50-50% weight distribution. So no wonder Volkswagen will have rear-wheel drive as a standard in the future, what we had with the Beetle. For sure, we'll offer four-wheel drive as an option. When it comes to the interior, there's definitely more space for everybody, for the driver, for the co-driver, and the passengers on the rear seat. More flexibility. This very easy basic architecture allows a variation of body styles. If it's hatchback, SUV, and sedans, everything is possible. And the platform is not only hardware. The platform is also electronics. Those cars are prepared being a server center with strong ECUs, with a lot of headroom, on board instead of many small electronics. So there's a clear architecture for our MEB, very consequent. And we call the cars on top ID. Maybe you ask yourself, what does ID stand for? And there are 5 things which are clearly in the DNA, starting with inspiring dimensions. The interior is revolutionary because it's way more flexible and spacious. You will feel 1 class bigger in the same car size. Then, iconic design. You get more insights later. I think it's very visionary, functional, and also emotional. It's puristic and efficient. And we think light is the new chrome. Intelligent data. All these cars are prepared for automated driving. Sensors on board, fully connected to the internet, and part of a digital ecosystem. Then infinite drive. You are able to drive long distance without CO2 emissions. We offer enough and scalable range, and we offer fast charging capability. Finally, intuitive device. Augmented reality head-up displays are available. Natural voice control is available. And you get a personalized interaction with the brand of Volkswagen. So we believe ID stands for a new mobility with a very captivating user experience, which is intuitive, simplified, and it's fun. The ID vehicles more or less are smart devices on wheels, which are integrated in a service ecosystem. Services which make our mobility needs easier than before. Services which are at my car, around my car, and even intermodal. As a key, we need a user ID in the future, like we know it in our smartphones. The Volkswagen user ID connects the services with the cars. You can carry your services with you with your ID. It allows the individualization of your car over time. And it needs an enabler, which is the Volkswagen operating system in the car, the Volkswagen OS. The Volkswagen OS then connects the mobility services technically on an automotive standard with the cars. It will allow regular updates and upgrades of all software-driven functionalities and features. For an example, function as a service enables you to unlock functions you haven't chosen during your first dealer visit. No pressure anymore that you decide from the very first moment. You can decide when you want. Imagine you are in a traffic jam. Then you say, come on, I forgot the traffic jam pilot. I want to have it. With the ID family, this is possible. You can test it maybe for 4 weeks for free and then decide if this is the functionality for you. And this update and upgradability is key also to enable high-performing automated driving features. Functionalities will grow and learn over time, and you get back the lessons learned in the field in your car. Another service of high importance, I think, is charging. Volkswagen will provide solutions and partnerships for home charging, think about affordable wall boxes, workplace charging, where we support employers giving employees charging stations, easy and affordable, solutions in cities, and especially with partners, a comprehensive charging network alongside the highways. So the MEB family is prepared to enable new kind of businesses, new business models. And I think there's nobody else better to explain this than David from IBM. Please come on stage.
Thank you all for being here. What I thought would be helpful is to put this great technology in the context of what's going on more broadly in technology, because we're going into a new phase that's going to affect everything that's been happening in the world. So if I go to the next chart, technology's kind of gone through three waves. So if I look at starting around 1960, we had discovered something called Moore's Law. And what Moore's Law basically said in technology is that we could increase the amount of computing capacity of a microprocessor every 12 to 18 months. And that drove us for a long time. That drove us through the mainframe era, then with microprocessors into PCs, and then all the way to iPods, and then ultimately to smartphones. And we continue to follow that curve. And the business models of that phase from the 60s to the 80s was very much about how to use computing capacity, how much computing capacity you had, and how you use that to automate functions in your business, including the automation of factories and the creation of great vehicles. In around 1980, we discovered a second law called Metcalfe's Law. These are all named for famous engineers and scientists. And Metcalfe basically said the value of a network was equal to the square of the number of nodes in the network. And he started with the networks of fax machines. But it ultimately that insight led to technology becoming a network business. And over the last 20 years, most of the growth in economics have been related to networks, the fundamental networks of the internet, of cloud computing, and about, a good majority of the economic value was a handful of companies that created and owned the networks: Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google. And that was great, and I think everybody else was a little bit disrupted in trying to figure out how to connect to those networks. Beginning in the last couple of years, we're seeing the creation of a third phase. And the third phase says that the real economic value is the best possible decision at the best possible moment, based on the best possible information. And this is driven off from this growth in data. And in fact, we are doubling the amount of data, every 12 to 18 months. We'll certainly have, 10 times the amount of data we have now in 7 years or so. And those who can really capture that data are going to create better decisions. We're calling that Watson's Law, and that's because the founder of IBM, Thomas Watson, has long focused on our model, which is think. And there's been a long ambition to have machines that think. And so the use of machine learning, deep learning, cognitive neural networks, artificial intelligence are all sciences that are built on that. What's interesting is, what does that mean about the business model, and why is that so important to Volkswagen? So what we're finding is the value is no longer in the network. It's actually coming back to what data do you have and how do you put that data to use. And in fact, if you're training, because all that growth is by learning, right? So we're seeing exponential learning. The machines are learning. Machines learn much faster than humans because they don't sleep. You don't need to feed them. They get cheaper every year. So as the machines are learning, that makes things smarter. And everything we've just talked about in terms of cloud computing, mesh networks, sensors in the vehicles, all of that is going to constantly be learning. Volkswagen has a lot of unique data to bring to that. It has data that it's collecting from the vehicles. As you saw with user ID, it has data that it's collecting about the users and the owners. And we're working together with them also to collect data about locations. These vehicles move. And when you're in a specific location, knowing what's going on in that location, knowing the weather in that location, knowing where people shop in that location, knowing what kinds of people are in that location, also help you. So that's going to constantly create predictive models. What's most exciting about this, and why I'm so excited to be partnering with Volkswagen today, is that these models improve every day. And we're seeing just the accuracy and the usefulness of models to predict what people are going to need next, predict maintenance, predict service needs, predict people you may want to connect with. Those models are going to get smarter, more accurate, more precise, more useful every day. So by starting now, by starting early, there's going to be a great advantage, because if I follow Watson's law, what it says is the learning is the amount of cumulative machine learning you put onto your own data. Them continuing to bring that is going to create great services for their customers. I would say the other thing is that you then bring in everyone else who can value from that data. All the other places that these cars will go by, the retailers, the fuel stations, the charging stations, the places to eat, the social events to happen, the parks to visit, all of that is going to be able to come through other microservices into this learning and make these vehicles smarter and make the service of the owners and passengers and drivers of these vehicles much, much smarter. This wave is going to affect every industry, including this one. And we're really excited to find a few brave partners who are really embracing exponential learning early, because I think they're going to be the real winners in this next phase of Watson's law, this next phase where technology is driven by exponential machine learning. Thank you.
David, we are really happy about this partnership. There's a huge potential. So let's sum up. The ID family is for sure a game changer. It's being affordable. It offers long-range capability. It's fully connected and upgradable. And you get smart charging solutions. That means we are really making the future real. But how to prove? And I think, Hinrich, it's now a good point to say, what is our concrete plan?
Thank you, Christian. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, from the start of the turnaround plan for Volkswagen in the US, electrification was key. At the beginning of the year in Detroit, we unveiled the ID. Bus, an all-electric 21st century take on that classic bus. In August, we announced here in California, in Pebble Beach, it will go into production in 2022. We are now moving fast forward with more electric vehicles that are intended for this market. Today, I have another key announcement about the future of electric Volkswagens in America. In 2020, a compact, all-electric SUV based on the I.D.CROZZ will come to the United States, for sure. Similar in size to the all-new Tiguan, the vehicle will have the interior space and the price position of a mid-size SUV. With a potential range of up to 300 miles, the I.D.CROZZ will be an affordable, reliable, beautiful, stylish electric SUV, and there is more to come. And of course, design is key. With that, I'd like to hand over to Marco Pavone, who will talk about the exciting possibilities in designing future electric. Please.
Hi guys, good afternoon. Well guys, I've been working at Volkswagen for almost 20 years. I'm 35, no I'm kidding, I'm 40 already. And I've done several combustion cars already in my career. Some of them for North America, for Europe, for Asia, some for South America. I was born in São Paulo, Brazil. I have worked there as well for 7 years. But I've never been so excited and happy to present, these concept cars today as I am now, because it's been such a great journey. We've been learning quite a lot. It's been really an honor to be part of Volkswagen history and to be one of the responsibles also
I mean, to define the design, let's say, language for Volkswagen in terms of electric cars. You know, my job is, as a car designer, to make sure that the first date, customer and cars, works pretty much fine. And it has to be love at first sight. Otherwise, I did my job quite well. Huh? So, because, you know, but this works just if I don't just deliver a piece of sculpture. Actually, we have to deliver as well a vision, an idea behind it. The customers nowadays, they're not just worried about how many cylinders they have under their hood, like 6, 8, or 12 cylinders. They're more concerned about how clever, how intelligent, how intuitive the car is. And when they buy an electric car, they want to show it. It's like a statement. And we, at Volkswagen, we have set a statement here. And this is what we want with our electric cars. But how we did that? Let's see here. First of all, we focus on people. It's the first time that we have developed cars from inside to outside. In all of these three concepts, we have what we call open space. Okay? So in that car, for instance, the ID, which has a footprint from a Golf, we offer, let's say, an inner space from a Passat, yeah? Or this one here, the I.D.CROZZ, has a footprint from a T1. We offer a lot more inner space because in both cases, we move the A-post further forward because there's no engine here on the front. Second of all, we have gathered all the design values from Volkswagen design, okay? And you know, Volkswagen stands for simple, solid, pure, innovative, and as well charismatic design. That's also really important to be said. And then third, we have really got cool proportions, as Mr. Sanger just said. Let's see this case, for instance, here, what I call cool proportion. Yeah, we have a really long wheelbase, huge wheels, 21-inch, short overhangs. There as well, there as well. So all of the three cars are going to hit the road. This one is going to come first in Europe and in Asia. This one, as you guys just heard, is going to hit the road in America, four-wheel drive as well. And that one, the new interpretation of the bully, the ID bus, is going to come on the road as well in 2022. So let's see, all the cars, as you probably perceived, they have design elements that kind of link them, you know, not just because they don't have upper grille here on the front, because they're electric, they don't need so much air intake, but they have a lot more, several elements that connect them to each other, but they have really, let's say, strong characters. I can explain a little bit more in detail here. For instance, if I start with this car, yeah, we have what we call a circulating line that divides the upper body from the lower body. Yeah? The roof is in black, and as I said before, we have moved the A-post really forward because there's no engine. And with this element here on the bonnet, or on the hood, as you guys say, we have shortened this pretty much more. So to highlight the silhouette of the car, we have implemented this brushed aluminum here feature, you know, which is pretty much interesting. And as you guys know also, the seat post for Volkswagen is a really important theme. On the Golf, you know, it's a bit more upright, also solid. Here we did a little bit more dynamic, okay? Here, from the side view, you also recognize our daylight opening here has these two kinks here. And we can see as well in this car, a little bit different interpreted. But this graphic is being also mirrored here in the lower part, and this blue element really represents where the battery is. Yeah, and this element is being repeated both in the front bumper and rear bumper as well. So it's pretty logic and pure. But in between these graphical elements, we have a really nice sculptured surface treatment. Okay? On the front end, we have the line circulating, as I said before, and have this really cool design headlights, moved a bit more around the corner. And it's also really interesting to be said, on our design criteria for electric cars, we're going to have always one eye each side. You can see there and on the bus as well. The logo is illuminated, as I said. There's no upper grille, and the intake is really reduced to the max. So we have done here some nice patterns to give a bit more value to the front bumper. And this kind of, fascia, this kind of design, we have tried to interpret it in a different way on this car as well. We have also this circulating line, but it's, let's say, a little bit different. I'll go to the other side, and then you're going to see a little better. So here we have a really exposed front fender because we believe it's an SUV, has to look a bit more, let's say, masculine, has to have a nice stance. And if you compare both fronts, here the logo is standing, has a lot more, let's say, stance. The lights as well, they're standing more, not so leaning like that car. We have, let's say, a light band really running into the headlight, showing a lot of 3D. We have as well one eye as there as well. Yeah. So there's, let's say, the charismatic front that we got there, we have also here done it in a little bit different way. As I said, really powerful front fender. The hood is a little deeper. In this case, we have also moved A-post forward. We have this aluminum trim, but here the C-post is a lot more dynamic. On the rear, we have also exposed the wheel arch, so it's a lot more masculine. And we have divided also the body side here with these dark elements to reduce the optical height. And the roof is as well dark, all right? So you can see there are certain similarities, but they have totally different characters, yeah? And then, when you go to the ID bus, this is a totally different game, of course. First, the size is really big. We have extremely long wheelbase, huge wheels as well, short overhangs. We have also our circulating line here, where we kind of have hidden our rail for our sliding door. Our tail light is pretty slick, as you see on this car, on that one as well. On the front, we have incorporated our V-shaped, let's say, fascia. It's coming from the original T1, as you know, also here in America, pretty famous, as well in Brazil, where I come from. But we haven't done any kind of a retro design. Actually, it's pretty much, let's say, advanced. We have the same kind of typology in the headlight design. As I said before, one eye per side, LEDs here on the front, top area. And then on the bumper, as you might see there, we have, let's say, repeated our patterns that we have developed for the ID, but we try to incorporate these rounded eyes from the original T1, but in a pretty advanced way. So, I mean, apart from that, the whole cabin is full in glass here, everything really flush, no steps at all, everything pretty much integrated. So you can see the cars, they have similarities, but they have a lot of things that define them. They have really different characters. So I'm gonna stay here a while. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. And I hope you guys pretty much like the design we're working on, we're doing. And now I'm gonna give the stage to my friend Stockman. All right, thanks a lot. All right.
So thank you very much for your attention. I'm going to close off and finish off with the big element of change that we haven't really discussed. We've discussed technology, we've discussed autonomous drive. We haven't changed software, humanity. We're just basically our operating system as a brand to get in touch with our customers, to bring services to our customers, and actually to serve them actually as a total sort of system with our dealers. By the way, the picture behind me actually stems from Pebble Beach, where we introduced this car. The surfer is real. Actually, he was surfing, came took a picture. And we actually, well, he gave us an important hint, which we put into reality now for the first time. He says that the fins are in the wrong position on the picture. They should be in the front, not in the rear. So we've modified the car today just to show that we're listening, and we thank actually California Spirit for this insight. So let me start with 8 elements which we thought were important to be addressed in the years to come from a marketing and sales perspective to our customers. First element, and we've touched briefly on those in the discussions basically we heard before through Christian, is actually we have to be relevant to our customers. Now, relevance is defined by breaking down all barriers that actually make you actually step into an electric world. I think in our interview that we had with Chris, we mentioned many, but I think it's important just to bring them together. We found 3 barriers which actually today hinder people from actually becoming electric car owners. Now, the first, by far biggest one, is range and range anxiety. There is a clear sort of vision of where we need to be. We need to be above 200 miles on a standard car, which we will offer in all of our cars. So 200 miles, and I'm not talking homologated or Prüfstand sort of realities, but actually reality in driving distance in our cars, 200 miles. Optionally, you can have a lot more, but we think that that limit will actually be eliminating this first sort of key barrier of becoming an electric car owner with fun. Second element is price. And we heard today that the price of this car will be in the range of a mid-size SUV. It offers basically the package of a mid-size SUV, a lot more technology. We believe actually a lot more fun going forward. The idea that will say we kick off the momentum for the brand is over here. This car will be offered at the price of a Golf diesel for Europeans. I think there's an expected price of a normal sort of mainstream Volkswagen car. So basically, we really try to come to our customers with a price that's not exceeding really what they expect from a Volkswagen brand. Approachable, affordable, not cheap, but actually great value for money as we are offering already today. The third key element of barrier is the infrastructure. We've heard this again sort of in the dialogue with Christian Zenger. We are actually co-investing or investing into sort of large networks around Europe and the United States. And we are obviously investing heavily into actually providing home charging, work charging infrastructure for our customers going forward. So this will be basically delivered with our cars to our customers. It's a service that we give that will just break this barrier away. And we believe that by 2020, we'll have so much momentum on electric cars going forward that actually infrastructure will be a fading problem basically from the years 2020 onwards. We already now have 16,000 charging stations in the United States, 45,000 places to charge a car publicly, and that number will grow exponentially because we are in this business now. Because a big brand has put a full momentum into this step, we'll see a lot of independent businesses just simply going to invest and say, well, that's great business for the future. I'll put my money into infrastructure. I think it's a great idea for those who want to follow us. So first piece was actually to break down the barriers of becoming an electric car owner. Second key piece is to be powerful. We call it being a brand that actually takes a bold move going forward. We show you the 4 shapes, and our key vision is very simple. Use a very short time frame basically to basically offer a full range of cars. This is basically the ultra-European shape, hatch. This is actually the global shape, SUVs. Basically, SUVs are dominating the place today. They're the most wanted body type. We'll have them everywhere. Actually, not only in this size, there will be more sizes on offer. We'll have MPVs, and I think we believe this is the only brand, or we are the only brand that can offer this MPV and this shape. It's a Volkswagen original going forward, and there's going to be obviously more shapes coming. So in a very short time frame, you'll see basically every car shape that's wanted today being fully electric by Volkswagen. And I think that's a key dimension of offer that we will bring to the party. Third piece, that was I would say, one of the biggest challenges in Volkswagen because we love complexity. Volkswagen offers is extremely complex. If you order a car from Volkswagen, we have 1,000 standalone offers and individual orders you can tick. Now, that's great, but actually with increasing complexity for our customers' lives on the daily journey, they hate actually complexity in choice. They want choice to be simple. They want it to be straightforward. Basically, we said, let's try to basically be able to order a car and configure a car in 5 clicks. We've learned a lot from the smartphone industry, because I think they have a nice way of making choices simple and yet actually very productive for our customers. So we follow basically the same concept of making a simple choice. So complexity is behind the curtain. That's our job. Make the choice simple. So looking at basically sort of the comparison to the smartphone industry. First choice is choose the model. Very simple. We won't have endless amount of choices of 3 doors, 5 doors. Basically, you choose the car. That's the car. Same as your device actually that you pick. Second choice is basically to choose the power. Now on basically with your smartphone, you get the capacity. In our case, you get the range, which is going to be the key dimension of the future. So when people talk to each other having an electric car, they will talk to each other about the range of their car. Second option, maybe in this case, is power. Obviously, power will be a differentiator going forward. There will be faster, more powerful ones than others. Key choices to be made here. Very simple choices actually for the consumer. Third level is choose of color, same as with smartphones. So basically, we'll have sort of an amount of colors, and as you see, basically, this is going to be a standard feature. So B color is going to be making the life very, very interesting, and basically make it much easier to make your individual car yet in a sort of firmly defined amount of choices from the color range. Fourth element is basically accessories. So basically with your smartphone, you have accessories. In our case, you would have packages. So we are dropping the idea of having an endless amount of individual options, and you will just have a few packages, well packaged, which deliver you basically sort of a ready set of options into your cars, reduce the amount of complexity, thinking time for yourself. So we make that one very easy actually to get and to order. And the new dimension for Volkswagen is basically the software element. So basically, as with your smartphone, the smartphone really comes to life when you load your apps, individual apps onto your car. You can do the same in the future in a Volkswagen car. So basically, we will have several options and services that we can upload and download into our cars. We call this ecosystem We by Volkswagen. So basically, this is the combination of all of our services, either attached directly to the car, like the charging services, or actually slightly more remote from the car, like rental or other services, which we will offer basically as individual mobility. But choice will be limited, choice will be great, and will be much easier than today to get a car from the Volkswagen brand. Next key element of change is to be close. If you look into the way we operate our distribution today, we actually ask our customers to go to dealers. Now, that will remain a big part of the future, but we see a very clearly emerging trend that there's fewer people wanting to do that. They actually expect us to be where the customers are today, so we have to join the natural traffic of our customers. The movie that you see behind me is from Birmingham. Actually, it's a big shopping mall, the biggest shopping mall in the United Kingdom, with 40 million visitors each year. And we're trying to tap into the natural stream of people strolling around, not necessarily looking for a Volkswagen, but actually just stepping in, getting across the boundary of getting to know the brand, getting to know the products. We've opened that 2 months ago. The first month of appearance, we had 30,000 people in our showroom. None of our dealers around the globe in that month had this amount of traffic. It's impossible to get. So just getting there, we have no salesmen in the showroom. We have people that actually give you hints, that actually explain the cars, no pressure, low pressure, and yet we were able to sell 10 cars directly from that showroom in the first month, from nothing. 350 test drives from that premise, and actually a new environment, a new, fresh, friendly environment to experience Volkswagen's new cars. So that's an exploration we do with our dealer partners. I just explained that again. We don't do it actually against our dealers. We actually invite our dealers for the journey to explore new ways, new formats with us going forward. So next element is to be innovative. Now, innovation, I think, is a key driver in our cars and our technologies. And we obviously, as you've seen with IBM, we're inviting partners to innovate with us in the retail space at the same time. So we are now looking basically with Microsoft to explore the power of HoloLens actually in retail environments or actually outside retail environments into cafes. So going to a place where you don't expect to find a car, where you don't expect to find a Volkswagen actually basically in your environment, but actually you can actually experience these cars in 3 dimensions through the HoloLens, especially anywhere around the planet. So we are joining basically forces now with Microsoft in this case to explore whether we can bring these cars to life actually in a 3-dimensional new way in refreshing new environments where people are relaxed, where actually are enjoying themselves and are actually enjoying new technology and new ways of moving forward. So this actually, I think technology shows that it shows a new dimension of cooperation in our industry. It's no longer actually the typical supplier and OEM relationship. It's real partnering with real powerful, I think, partners going forward that actually have capabilities that we as brands don't have. 6th element, be seamless. Now, this is something that you probably all experienced yourself when you're customers, and we repeat say that actually there are companies that we actually follow closely because we think they have really innovated customer experience. Amazon, for example, shows that customer experience can be seamless, can be integrated, and actually works extremely well. 24/7, around the clock, the experience of dealing with these companies is very different to the way you operate and you deal with a brand like Volkswagen today. So we want to be actually in the space of being adaptive and following our customers with new core ideas. So basically in this adaptive place, basically we will offer sort of a hub in the web, which will allow customers to find their individual information, basically, which is very different from the information that any other customer would find in this space. The hub is created basically with a powerful AI tool that will allow to basically tell us and tell the customer what he's been interested in prior to his visit, what he's interested now, and will basically allow him to see his individual landing page. So if all of you visit the future of Volkswagen hubs, all of you will see a different page depending on what your prior interest into the brand was. If you're wanting to see generic information about electric mobility, many customers still want to see how do I charge, where do I charge, what's that problem. If you're interested in our range of cars, you will see that. If you're interested in actually how to make a deal with us, actually how to buy a car or lease a car, you'll see exactly that. All of that will be individual, but actually powered by extremely powerful AI tools. And I'd like to introduce you today basically to one of the partners that we're exploring our future with. It's Adobe. Adobe actually is a powerful company that actually has been helping us in the past years to get our marketing actually much more innovative than ever before. And they're now actually taking the next step with us actually to bring this intelligence to life in this new hub. And I'm happy to introduce John from Adobe today, who will tell us more about the world of future individual actually communication. John, join me on stage. Thank you. Thank you much. Thank you.
Thank you, Jürgen. It is a pleasure to be here with you today. And I have to say, I'm really impressed with Volkswagen and this vision and how there's so much focus on the customer experience. And this is something that I'm personally very passionate about, and that's the customer experience. It's what we at Adobe do. We are the leader in helping enterprises deliver an exceptional customer experience. There's not much more I can say that hasn't already been said today about the rate of change of consumers and how their behaviors on online buying and mobility are changing. But let me give you some data that I'm pretty sure you haven't heard before because it's less than 24 hours old. Yesterday, Cyber Monday, was the single largest shopping day, the single largest e-commerce day that we've ever seen. $6.6 billion was spent yesterday in online commerce. For the first time ever, $2 billion of that was spent via mobile devices, meaning on your phone. $2 billion was spent yesterday. For the first time ever, over half of the visits to websites were made from a mobile phone or a tablet. Think about that. The world is changing. The world is becoming mobile. The world is absolutely becoming digital. And we're very, very pleased to be working with Volkswagen as they are moving and driving towards delivering an experience that maps where consumers are going. There's sort of three key things that we share in common with Volkswagen that are kind of philosophies about how the world and the economy is changing. The first is that people are buying experiences, not just products. The smart businesses that we see understand that the big differentiators in their business, it used to be their product. Maybe it was a fresher cup of coffee, right? Maybe it was free checking. Maybe it was better gas mileage or more horsepower. Today, it's not just the product features, it's the experience that you wrap around those product features. Second is that we firmly believe you have to combine art and science together to deliver a great experience. Right? You have to have great art. You have to have great marketing, great images, great content, because that's what helps you break through the noise. But you have to combine that art and that content with data, because data is what gives you the context for what to show to whom at what time. How do we adapt the experience for the first-time buyer in a showroom? How do we adapt that experience for the different demographics of buyers that are in a showroom? Or once they own the car, how are we adapting their experience to their individual likes and preferences? And how are we helping them service the car in the unique way that they need it serviced? So how do we combine the art and the science? So that's really the second. The third is that we really believe enterprises must architect for action. The reality is that the systems that most enterprises are built on are legacy systems, CRM and ERP systems, that were never architected to operate in this new environment of mobility and consumer change. And we know that we cannot live on data that is weeks or even days old. We have to operate on data that is real time. And so we're very excited to be working with Volkswagen on their ID project, on this hub project, because we think it's really the future of how consumers are going to interact with brands and how they're going to use the products and create not just a product buying experience, but an experience that wraps around that product and delivers real dimension to the brand. So Jürgen, thank you for having us. We appreciate the opportunity and look forward to the partnership. Thank you.
Almost done. 2 points to mention. The next one actually is the one that actually creates the biggest challenge for us I think, as a sales organization. The distribution of cars, since basically we were founded as a company, has been quite linear. So we as OEMs basically push down to our importers, the importers down to the dealers, and then basically the customer contact more or less is outsourced to our dealers. That was actually great because as a manufacturer, it had nothing to do with your customers. That actually is quite scary when you want to get in touch with your customers because the cars cannot operate without a direct contact to your customers. So we have to rearrange the way we work basically around our customers. And that actually is the work that we are currently sort of doing with our dealers around the world. So basically that was the linear order, which explains basically our industry, basically since it was founded. There's not a lot of change into this. All of our systems were constructed that way. And the work that needs to happen now, actually, that this order gets completely circled around our customers. So basically, we would actually put our dimensions of data, our dimension of systems, actually around the customers. The customer really becomes the center of attention, the center of gravity into our distribution model. So manufacturer, importer, and the dealer would actually work together to serve the customer. It's not about taking data away, it's actually adding it in a way that the customer wants us to add the data. Is always the customer is always the one that will allow us to do that usage of data or not. It's always his data, it's not ours. But actually, when he gives the data and the permission to us as a system, he would actually see a much richer experience because all the touch points that he would see, either at OEM level or at importer level or dealer level, would be informed about his journey and can give him good advice at the right moment, which is not happening today. We have 3 new, let's say, key criteria for the future that will drive our business. It's the customer ID, so his personal ID, something that you all have when you log onto your systems in sort of in iPhones or in the Samsung world. It's a vehicle ID, so the attachment of the car to the person, so which basically correlates the data of the car to the individual, basically being the owner or actually the driver of the car. And then thirdly, the data and the sort of the plain and clear identification of your preferred dealer partner. So the face of the brand, the person that can really do physical work for you in your environment and help you actually when you have service needs or when you have questions actually that you want to get attached live. So it's this triangle that we actually want to perfect in the future. Customer ID, vehicle ID with dealer ID in one place. And that's the work that we are going under now. It's a lot of debate, obviously, that you can't imagine after many, many generations of having a different way of looking at market and customer. But we believe that the future of great service will be defined by our success in changing it to a much more customer-centric approach than ever before. The last piece is basically has been told by Christian Zenger. The world of the future is not only about cars, it's about ecosystems offering a holistic service system for us. So basically around the core, say, values and the core deliveries that we have today, basically selling, leasing, financing a car, servicing the car, basically delivering parts to the car and delivering, for example, some insurance around the car. We will in future offer services which are attached to the car, like the charging and charging services, over-the-air flashing of software into the car to make them more intelligent and future-proof. And we will offer basically around that on the other side, even services that are only remotely linked to your ownership experience in your car. Leasing, rental services, hailing services, which we are investing in around the world, sharing services that would allow customers to share cars amongst each other to perform a community within the brand. So this is basically the amount of change going on, basically around the car and our distribution model. It's a lot of work in the next 2.5 years for all of us with our partners, but it's an exciting time for us to create future. Thank you very much for your attention, and Pike, back on stage. Thank you very much.
Jürgen, thanks a lot.
Pike, thank you.
Markus, thank you. Christian, thank you. Peter, thank you. Jeff, thank you. And Chris, thanks a lot. John and Dave, thank you very much as well. I reckon that this was an intense workshop at this afternoon. We have heard something about disruption and the speed of change. But I hope you also have gained some sense of how intensively we at Volkswagen are working on this change with completely new, highly innovative and attractive products, with new services and concepts, and with an entirely new way of dealing with our customers. Starting in 2020 with the I.D.CROZZ, here in the United States, a car made in America and a car made for America.